because a normal RAW file is a proprietary file format where Adobe doesn't know exactly how they designed that file format, and if they add anything to it, they can corrupt it in a way where it can't be opened by other software. If we convert to DNG, we're going to a file format that's well documented, and it has documentation of exactly how to add extra information to the file. So there's no need for those little XMP files. So you end up dealing with one file. The file might be smaller, and it's going to be openable in more software than just a normal RAW file. The disadvantage of going to DNG format is if your camera manufacturer doesn't support DNG, then if they ever come up with some amazing software, you might not be able to open your images in their software, because if it only supports their proprietary file format, then if they decide not to support DNG, now you can't open it in that software. But in general, most of the time, my images are going into Lightroom and into Camera Raw or Photoshop, and all of those pieces of software can support DNG. Also, most other commercial software that is designed for professional photography would be designed for DNG as well, so it's not a bad thing to go to. I personally don't convert my files to DNG. It just takes more time to ingest the images, and most of the time I'm sitting there wanting to drive away or get on a plane or do something else, and I don't want the progress bar to take any longer to get things done. Having said that, if you have the time to wait for it to convert them, there's no problem using DNG. It's a good idea, and a lot of people really like it. So if you're going to use DNG, there are some settings involved. And if I go to my Lightroom preferences, under, I believe it's under File Handling, right here it says Import DNG Creation, meaning what settings should it use if you import your images in DNG format. And so here it's just saying you want a lowercase or an uppercase file extension on the end. It says what kind of preview do we want? We want full size, 1:1, where we could check focus on that right away, or do we want a medium size, or no preview at all? The larger the preview, the larger the file is, so you just got to decide what's important to you there. Embed fast load data is going to make it so when you go to the develop module with one of these images, it will be able to adjust the image, how would I say it, just faster. It's not that the adjustments apply faster, it's that when you click on the image in the develop module, you'll be able to move the slider right away instead of waiting for a moment to have it finish loading the image. It's kind of optimized it for the develop module. There's also a choice called embed original RAW file. And the advantage there is you would have your original RAW file inside the same file. So if your camera manufacturer ever came out with some amazing software and they didn't support DNG, you could extract that original RAW file and still use their software. The problem with that is you're going to pretty much double your file size, and so it's not all that practical. What I would do is, if I'm really worried about it, is I would archive my images, my original shoots, in the original file format. And that's often an external hard drive sitting in a bank vault or something. And then the working files that I use here would be copies that are DNGs, and because they're more convenient. They're smaller, you don't need XMP files. And if I ever ran into a problem, I'd have two copies of my images, my working files and my backup that's off-site. Those could be in the original file format, whereas the ones I use here are DNG. There's one last setting in here, and that's compatibility. If I click here, we have a long list. And that's because they changed the DNG file format over time to improve it. And the problem is, if you have older software, let's say you work with it in a company, and it's not just you that does the version of Photoshop in Lightroom that would be compatible with. So here we have Photoshop CS6 and Lightroom 4.1. If somebody in my office has an older version and I need to share my files with them, then I might want to go one version back, and it tells me that would work with CS5 and Lightroom 3.6. And so I want to get to the newest version that would support all the people I think I might share my RAW files with, or my DNG files with, I should say. This doesn't have to do with JPEG files, or TIFF files, or Photoshop file format images. This is for DNG images. So if I'm going to